Hi there. So if you watched the last video, you will have seen that it's all about getting very clear on your boundaries, understanding what you do want, rather than focusing all the time on what you don't want. And now that you have that clarity, that's a great thing. But you know, we still sometimes struggle to speak up and communicate those boundaries. We worry that we might cause an argument with somebody, or that we'll lose the relationship, or that they'll reject us in some way. In general, what you'll find is that people will go off, they'll process the information, the boundary that you've communicated to them, and they'll think about it, and then generally they'll come back and they'll respect that boundary. If they really can't, well, perhaps it's time to be thinking about that relationship. But how can we? How can we find that courage to do this, to actually speak up? Well, we need some sort of motivation, because setting a boundary is asking for change, and we need some sort of motivation that's going to help us see the payoff for that change. So the question is, what is your why? Why do you want to set this particular boundary? And I'd like you to think about the positive outcome that will happen. What will you achieve with this boundary? Even if you do go through a little bit of discomfort when you communicate it, what will you ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, what will you achieve by setting this boundary for you and in the relationship with the person? It's likely that relationship, even though if there's a bit of a wobble initially, that relationship will grow because you'll have a deeper understanding of each other. You'll feel more connected. That person will be more trusting of you because they know that what they see is what they get because you've told them. And so you'll have a much deeper, a much happier, and more connected relationship with them in the long run. I'd also like you to think about what would happen if you don't set this boundary. Where will you be in a year? Will your relationship still be there? Will you have had so much resentment that you're not close with this person anymore? If it's a boundary for you in your own life, will you have made the changes that you want to make, or will you still be where you are today, perhaps not so happy? So what is your why for setting this boundary? What is the positive? And what would happen if you don't set the boundary? And actually, when you think about it, write it down. Write down the positives of setting this boundary, and write down the negatives that might happen if you don't. And actually write down the positives again and put that separately, that positive, put it up somewhere where you can see it, so that it makes it easier for you to find that confidence and that courage to actually set that boundary. In the next video, we're going to look at how we can put boundaries into practice. Bye-bye for now.